Hello.
Everything's recording. Check this out. Ready?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't mean to wake you up. Sorry. Sorry, go back to sleep.
Just a little bit this way. Yeah, cool.
There you go. Danny, Kayla. Everybody else who's joining as well. Thank you.
Danny, Kayla.
We're going to try something else for next watch along, but we'll figure it out. YouTube sent a scary warning, so that's not too bad. It was not Careless Whisper, actually, which is a bummer, because then there's other stuff. Anyways, let's go ahead and hop into it. 3, 2, 1. Oh, hello there, and welcome to Only Stupid Answers. My name is Sam Basher.
I'm DJ Wooldridge.
And today we're talking about Watchmen, Episode 5, A Little Fear of Lightning. The origin story of Looking Glass is revealed, as is the truth behind the greatest hoax in American history. The smartest man in the world plots a daring escape. I always like... Yeah.
You always like.
I always like that they have a little tease of what Ozymandias is up to.
Yeah.
Smartest man in the world plans a daring escape. He had to design that helmet.
We're getting ahead of ourselves, but he had to design the whole suit. He's enough of an egomaniac that he had some of his own branding on it.
The Ankh they threw out was Dr. Fate symbol, and I think he has it on he has the eye of it on his belt for Ozymandias, but go on.
Yeah, so he has his own, anyway. And then, but because he's the smartest man in the world, he knows when a satellite's coming by to create a message to send back. He's taunting. Like he's a challenging foe. I would like David Lindelof to write something with Lex Luthor in it because I think he'd do a very good job.
Yeah, it's very you get some vibes of like Napoleon on that island that he was left on to die. Like this kind of very similar.
But we're getting ahead of ourselves. The episode starts in perhaps the most traumatic experience ever had by anybody.
Yeah, I really wanted to wrap Looking Glass up in like a weighted blanket, give him some.
But it has to have the shiny stuff on it.
Oh, the shiny stuff.
Yeah,
but it's also got a weighted, so it feels like that anti-anxiety stuff.
Yeah.
Which I found out doesn't prove anything. Anyways, those don't work. He's a traumatized boy. Grew up, I'd say, more religious than the average Joe, especially when it came to everyone's basically expecting the world to end tomorrow. So he is trying one last time with his fellow youth ministry to go out and baptize the masses. And really cool throwback to Watchmen. You're seeing a lot of the posters that were from the original comic on the walls, some of the imagery, also the gang members you see. They're throughout the book, but also famously that was not these specific people, but that gang killed Hollis.
Yeah.
They killed the original Night Owl, not Owlman.
And so Wade, right?
Wade
is a Jehovah's Witness, and this girl seems like he's gonna have a spring awakening, and leads him into a hall of mirrors. Symbolism much, and of course he's not gonna get laid. She takes his clothes, and then the whole state blows up. Basically, and the infamous squid event from the comic happens, and they're doing the whole shebang. The psychic wave occurs. That basically it looks like it cooks everybody's brain, except for when he walks out of the Hall of Mirrors, like a handful of people, like maybe a dozen, are walking around.
We find out, like, I guess from the Spielberg film Pale Horse, very, I guess this universe's, if you didn't know, it's this universe's Schindler's List for Spielberg, especially the imagery of it. Maybe some people in New York didn't die, but they were sure messed up permanently.
Because he's in Hoboken, New Jersey. So it's right across the pond.
I was not aware of where Hoboken was. But so now I know where Hoboken is.
We're West Coast boys.
Yeah, we barely know how to get around LA. But I'll be honest. Yeah, he already had it bad from the get-go.
Yeah.
And so now how strange he is nowadays, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Here's a question for you, because the next scene we see is what his day job is to cover for him being a police officer. Is that he watches test groups for marketing firms and sees who's lying. And that if you can't be a lie detector for the cops or the government in Tulsa, then you do it for brands, and that makes total sense. There was a question asked during our live stream, because we do live watch-alongs at patreon.com/onlystupidanswers, bing, bang, boom. And the question was, because of his trauma that he experienced due to the squid, do you think this could have led to the ability to be a better lie detector.
I think it's altogether possible. I think it's interesting because in this world, I mean, you're dealing with somebody in a world where somebody like Vite exists. And there's people with it's a slightly heightened reality by nature, except when you get to somebody like Dr. Manhattan. So theoretically, in this more heightened world, he could just be really good at that. But I don't think it's a stretch to imagine that because of the experience he had, that heightened those skills or helped him develop those skills.
Possibly unlocking a psychic ability.
Yeah, maybe because
basically
it is
the psychic nuke that went off in the middle of a city. So
yeah,
anything's possible.
Yeah, because he does have a preternatural ability to tell when people are lying, which is really cool.
Really cool.
Yeah.
It seems I can get why he doesn't have friends.
Yeah. It is weird that we find out that he didn't join the police until after the White Knight, which is like, if you had that ability, why wasn't like cop number one on your to-do list?
I mean, maybe marketing was more lucrative.
Probably. I can almost guarantee it.
That's probably true in real life.
Yeah. So, and then we go to and the ad for people to go back to New York.
It's
which
safe
is,
now.
It's 30 years later. Please come back.
Yeah.
I love the worst one is, we eat squid. Oh, that's so tone deaf.
wrong.
What are you talking about?
But it's such a good joke.
Yeah.
Though. It's like, wow, I can't believe I came back here.
Yeah.
I hope not too many people come back here because I would be not safe anymore. It's all very, very good. And Michael Imperileone.
Yeah. From Sopranos.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He does a cameo as the guy eating squid, and it's like, ooh, lemon and garlic. It's like, shut up.
Yeah.
Tone deaf. But amazing.
Yeah.
It really makes the world feel right.
100%. And then we get back to the police station, and of course, the most important thing there is that we get Panda back, and I'm very thankful we get more Panda. A lot of Panda this episode.
Would you see yourself dressing as Panda for Halloween?
I feel like no, because the mask is probably stinky.
Well, I mean, you don't have to make yours
I'm going to
stinky.
say my go-to for next Halloween, depending on how the series plays out, is Looking Glass.
Yeah. Can you find stuff that looks like
Close enough.
Mylar balloon?
Yeah. You'd have
Please
to
don't put that on your head.
Yeah. You could probably get something close enough, especially by next Halloween. They'll have stuff.
Yeah.
It won't be because they did an article maybe a couple weeks back where they revealed that the way they do that mask is like there's 5 different ones. One of it is basically essentially just green screen. One of it is probably for the shots where he's like in the background and stuff. It's just kind of a silver mask. It's a combination of different elements to make it because there's nothing,
That does
no
that.
material that's that reflective.
Reflect to teen.
Yeah.
There's an extra in the middle of it. Teen, yeah.
And we find out that Angela's kind of pressuring Wade to figure out what's going on with these pills, and we find out that the cactus on his desk has been bugged by Lori, and another amazing scene by Jean Smart where she's like, yeah, we're FBI, we bug things. What are you talking about?
You know, it's pretty good. Just to kind of hammer home that Lori's not all right.
Yeah, she's kind of a jerk.
Yeah, she's kind of really making fun of someone that was in the middle of like an international tragedy. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry, you're scared of that? It's like, yeah, I am. Nuke goes off, and then just suddenly, just like waves of radioactive like energy just like went through towns, and I started wearing more protective clothes, and you made fun of me for it. And I'd be like, yeah, you're the idiot.
Yeah, and every once in a while, just a wave just goes throughout, and everybody's like, oh, whatever.
Yeah. Pull over their cars like it's no big deal. Turn on their wipers.
I'm interested to get more into the Vite stuff later because I think every time we get scenes with him, it reveals more about his personality. But anyway, getting ahead of ourselves.
Oh yes. And of course Lori bugged the cactus.
Yeah.
It just makes sense. And that's one of the best lines in
She
the
probably
episode.
bugged Panda's mask.
Very true.
Yeah.
He doesn't know. It's too big and it's too gross looking. One of the best lines that she keeps making fun of him, calling him mirror guy, and he's like, it's Looking Glass.
Yeah.
It's a good man. Tim Blake Nelson is very good.
You can have mirror guy.
You can have it. No one has it. But also a good nod. I did want to give a shout out to the younger Tim Blake Nelson, the younger Wade Tillman, because he does a very good job looking like Tim Blake Nelson, mean that in the nicest way. And also getting all the mannerisms down of this character, but also Tim Blake Nelson speaks a specific way.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see that on screen. And after that, we end up going home with Wade, and we see that the reflected teen that does block, it is told to block out psychic energy, which there have been psychics in this world, or at least someone who's claimed to be.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it has to have been real because they used that brain to make the squid, and that's what caused the attack. And so he's not only wearing the mask of reflected teen to protect himself all the time, and it's also a good costume, but he also has it in his hat, and he's protecting it. He is spiraling pretty bad, and it could be that they're...
Or let me just flip side. maybe he's functioning pretty well, all things considered. Maybe we don't know how bad it's gotten for him.
No, but what we do know is that
I know he has a hat, but he's still able to go out and have conversations with people and function most of the time.
He is eating cold beans out of a can with the mask on.
All I'm saying is we don't know how bad it got for him. So maybe he's improved. Maybe it's like The Good Place with Brent, where it's like, the last minute he skyrocketed up.
This feels like you're bending over backwards a little bit, but I do get what you're saying, where if you went through like an actual attack, like he might be doing better than literally when he's naked in the middle of a bunch of dead bodies.
All I'm saying is I'd be proud of myself if I wasn't spending all the time in that bunker. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Then we do find out that not only is
getting Amazon Prime delivery straight to the door and never going outside, like, cool, in case of the squids attack, I'm just in here.
We find out that this bunker is not only just a looking glass thing. This is this is a big business for this new America and possibly a global organization.
I would imagine at least America and Russia.
Extra-dimensional security.
When we see on his wall that he has a certificate, I think is the best way. It looks like a diploma, but it's basically a certificate
of being an accredited member of an extra-dimensional squid society.
Yes.
Not it looked like a degree, but it looks more like it's that he is.
Yeah, it's like when you get like
ordained.
Online ordained. It's like a Jedi or something.
I am not currently carrying my card, but I am ordained online. If you need me to marry you, only in the state of California, and I gotta learn all the words, so I don't know how to do it. But yeah,
gotta learn the secret passcode.
But yeah, it's that moment where he's laying on the couch and he's choosing not to sleep in a bed.
Yes. A bunk bed. Looks very comfy.
Yeah,
he could choose
his
bunk.
and her bunk.
Yeah.
We don't want to cuddle.
He has two options, and he's not choosing either of them. He's choosing the grimy couch.
Uh-huh. We do hear later from his wife that it took 7 years of her trying to prove to him that she would never run off with his clothes. Also, fun callback where he says 7 years bad luck, and I didn't connect until I'd say about 5 minutes later because he woke up in a room of broken mirrors.
I will say, I thought that line was a little heavy-handed.
Oh, I eat that.
Just a little. I will say in this episode, overall enjoyed it. There's a few moments where for some reason it doesn't feel like the show trusts the audience as much as it did in the past. Like they'll say something and then they'll cut to an image. It's like I know.
What's an example?
So when somebody mentions like, oh, covering your head in reflectine, and then they cut to a flashback of the inside of his hat, and it's like, yeah, I remember. You know what I mean? It just normally it feels like the show trusts its audience more, and then this one it felt a little bit more hand-holdy, and I'm not sure. I think what might have been happening is they were trying to more put you in his headspace,
which is what I would say I got.
But what it just felt a little less like. It just felt a little like, hey, remember? And it's like, yeah, man, I'm paying attention, man.
I get it more as being in his headspace because as soon as it's more of when they place it in the monologue that this person is giving, because it feels like he's trying to lead and be a good leader of these people in a recovery group.
Yeah, because we see that there is, because of course there would be a recovery group for this situation, and he's the leader of it, and he seems like a pretty solid leader overall.
But he's struggling.
Oh, yeah.
And he is not in, that's what I'm saying. I think he's been in better spots.
Yeah. Maybe when he got married, because he was able to.
Yeah.
You know what? He doesn't have the worst game for somebody that's just barely holding on by a thread.
He could shave off the weird little mini mutton
Listen,
chops.
man, when you roll up your mask, you want to look distinct. You know what I mean?
Yeah. One big Yosemite Sam mustache would also be really... I mean, that's basically what it is, but it's just attached to his face.
Yeah.
Would Tim Blake Nelson make a great live-action Yosemite Sam?
Yes.
Make him... I was about to feel bad. I was like, make him shorter. But I'm like, we did that before in Hollywood, and don't do that.
Yeah.
But anyways, the support group just makes sense because they start talking about, in that we also learn about Pale Horse. We mentioned that already, but also there was the person who's doing the main chunk of the monologue and expressing how they're feeling.
Yeah, who was born 10 years after the event.
And he talks about like genetic memory, and sometimes that's described as eidetic memory, which all of it is mostly sci-fi gobbledygook to a degree where it's more like, how like baby horses are born, they learn how to walk, that kind of thing, where, I mean, man, I don't know what would happen if a psychic bomb went off and all your spermies and eggs get all spun around. Like, I don't know, maybe birds who were living there feeling awful.
Worth pointing out that George R. R. Martin was sitting next to, I don't know. The guy sitting next to him looked so much like George R. R. Martin.
Put your hands in your pockets, George, and your sweatshirt.
I feel like it's when who played Mary Poppins? All right, I'm gonna put an asset up for this because you're like, DJ, why are you saying this? I'll get you.
I know, yeah. Because I'm thinking right now.
Julie Andrews.
There you go.
It's like in the Mary Poppins Returns. It's like we couldn't get Julie Andrews back, so here's Angela Lansbury. It's like Alan Moore is not going to do a cameo in this. Here's George R. R. Martin.
I know, pretty close. I mean, he's always wandering around the HBO offices, and I was like, anybody want to? What do you think of Game of Thrones?
What can I do other than finish those books? Sorry, getting off on a tangent. But yeah, so people, every ilk of every generation, people are struggling with this because it's 3 million people. Then, yeah,
3 million.
Don't they say like 3 million people?
3 million people died, and then everyone's I think you said 20 million.
No, 3 million people. Like,
that's
not
like
that would stick with you, and it's like the Squid Rain. You know what I mean? All that stuff, and then when he follows, this one girl shows up later. There's one woman, and they go to a bar after, and that's when she talks about Pale Horse, which is a stand-in for Schindler's List in this universe, which the way they dole out that what's essentially a joke, I thought was like super effective. It's like, yeah, Steven Spielberg won a bunch of Oscars. It's black and white. There's one girl that's in red. It's like that's good. That was some good work right there.
I'm interested to see it.
Yeah. Could this HBO have the clout to have Steven Spielberg direct like 5 minutes of this imaginary?
Just 5 minutes, just that scene.
Yeah.
Like not that.
It's like the movie Inglourious Bastards, like that Eli Roth directed that they show like that the big. Have you seen Inglourious Bastards? You're looking at me I don't know what you're talking about.
I didn't want to nod because that would have been a lie.
And Tim Blake Nelson would have called you out.
It would have been great if like Ryan Murphy was supposed to show up in this show introducing American Hero Story, which we gotta.
Oh yeah, we got more of that.
The Hooded Justice. It was so in the comic, just to kind of give some background, is it's hinted towards.
Yes.
And there's like interviews with other members of the Minutemen who have basically they speculate that he was that he was gay and then he was hiding it, and he was, but also Hooded Justice is like super complicated when it comes to like he was also possibly racist too, or he was racist. Like there's like a lot of stuff there, and they full show a graphic gay sex scene in this, and you know what? Props to them, but it also feels very American Horror Story-esque when it comes to that. Like they're really nailing that tone. And
it's interesting because obviously it feels like we're heading towards a big swerve in that department. But when Wade's date leaves, they're still looking for the truck with the lettuce. Lettuce falls out of the back of the truck.
Shout out to Red Scare eating the evidence.
Yeah, Red Scare's not the best cop. But hey, you know what? Beggars can't be choosers after the White Knight.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Pirate
or something.
Jenny. Yeah. And we find out, basically, you follow him to an abandoned mall. The church that they were searching for, that was Laurie's main mission, was to find this church and start going through.
Which was in the video in the first episode that the 7th Cavalry posted. Yeah.
And we find out that was all a set, and that makes 100% sense. As soon as they saw like the strats, or they're like the struts, I was like, that's the church.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I got like faking the moon landing vibes, like that's conspiracy theory, like it was all faked. You know what I mean?
Well, we get to a very big reveal that that's all fake.
Yeah.
Shout out to the VFX department. You put a good effect on those TV screens for that recording of young Veidt, and I think it looked good enough for young Veidt.
Yes.
He also looks very youthful right now.
And it's the same thing when they de-aged Samuel Jackson and Captain Marvel, where it's like, but it still sounds like old Samuel L. Jackson
with the voice cracks and stuff.
But that's kind of what I'm talking about with this more of Veidt's, like, just again, now that we're free of the illusion of him being the best hero out there, Damon Lindelof is really able to lean into the fact that this guy is a complete lunatic. Like even then, like when he's patting himself, he literally just nuked 3 million people, and he's like, aren't I great? President Redford, I made this happen, and I'm 7 years in the past. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm guessing he's
screw you, man.
Just for the people watching, he's standing behind it before it's deployed. Is what I'm getting.
Yes, because it does look like a giant eye. You pointed out when we were watching it, it was a giant eye. And so
it has to be.
What a lunatic!
I mean, wouldn't you? If you're like full blown supervillain, twirling mustache, like of course you'd stand in front of your giant.
And I think what's interesting.
That's good proof too, if they're watching the video.
100% that he's responsible for it, but also like beyond it just being mustache twirly, it's this idea that he has no gauge of just like that ad that was super tone deaf. Like he just doesn't know how awful he is. He has no idea. You know what I mean? He's the worst.
Yeah, he is the worst. And one of his creations we'll get back to in a second. But yes, we have Tim Blake Nelson not only catching his date, playing with portals.
Yeah, I thought that was a really effective reveal.
The basketball?
He was in the church and then a portal opens and the thing drops in. Yeah.
And we find out that because in the comic book, the reasons that they come up with for the conspiracy theory is that there's a department of extra-dimensional sciences in downtown New York, right at City Center, that is playing with those portals and trying to look for other dimensions. We find out that Veidt basically created that department or this company so that there was a cover.
Screen,
Yeah, and that's really smart that you created teleportation based on Dr. Manhattan's abilities, that you were able to create a facsimile of that with technology, and they are literally just testing it out to see how the basketballs move.
Hey, what are we going to do? I like that he comes out with the paper. Oh, it's in the church. And it's so like, just office space, like whatever. What did you think about the reveal of the senator? Because it kind of felt like a twist pile up to the point of like, it kind of took me out of the show a little bit, where it's like, actually, we orchestrated you finding this out. Actually, we wanted to talk to you. Actually, I'm in charge. Actually, me and Judd decided to be in charge of the different sides. And I'm like, it'd be like if a senator was like, well, neo-Nazis caused a bunch of problems, so I decided to be in charge of them to keep them from doing that. It's like, that, what does that?
No, I mean,
it felt like a TV show twist as opposed to like a thing a person would do.
Well, okay, so the only thing I'll say is, the 7th Cavalry exists because Rorschach's journal got out, and people have read it, and they don't believe the squid reign.
Which, that is accurate. The racist stuff, that's on you.
No, that is, and that's not the part I'm. That's not the part I'm mentioning. Also, there have been senators that have been members of.
Yeah, but he was not the way he presents it. He was not part of it. Yeah, and it just felt like. Just felt like a weird, evil scheme of like, I'm going to be in charge of them now. You know what I mean?
What I got from it was more of corralling cattle.
Yeah.
Where the White Night happened.
Yeah.
Judd was attacked.
Yes.
Was what I'm getting. Maybe it wasn't as much as we thought.
Again, we don't see that he was attacked. So there might be other, and then there was the KKK robe in his office.
Oh, yeah. So not saying
his closet,
not excusing any of the racist bad stuff. Yeah. When it comes to Senator Keene and Judd, what I get is that since they're now acting out, maybe creating. I want to pick my words carefully here because I was going to say olive branch, but it's like, no, go fuck themselves because they kill cops and everything.
I wonder,
but they're an active, they're a mobile conspiracy theory like society that basically does know the truth, and now they're violently acting out. So what are you supposed to do because they cannot find all of them? So is there an argument that joining them and starting to manipulate them to get them away from certain attacks?
One does actually kill a cop at the beginning of the first episode.
Because not all cops know.
And I guess maybe not all the 7th Cavalry knows.
Yeah.
I maybe there's another layer like that, because Will?
The old man?
The old man?
Yeah, Will.
Says there's a bigger conspiracy at play. So maybe both Judd and Keene were like told that hey, you should do this. It just felt a little like, it felt not that he was evil, because I feel like everybody knew Keene was going to be. He was suspicious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just felt like a lot in a moment. But we do get to the reveal again. The Veidt is so egotistical that he made his confession to be revealed 7 years later, and basically Wade, his entire world being turned upside down, realizing like Keene treats it like high fives, man. You get to live your life now. Everything you believed was a lie, and I'm like. I'm surprised he didn't kill himself.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
And that's still in the cards because every traumatic thing that's ever happened in his life was just revealed to be all because of a lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, again, the weighted blanket and hot cocoa talk. I would very much like to give Wade that so he can have that. Yeah, so, and the offer is that basically his life's going to be over and all the lives of his family are going to be over if he does not go and if he does not basically get Angela arrested.
Yes, and like a lot of Faustian deals, it's not all that it seems, but we'll get into that when we get to the end of the episode.
Also, just the quickest wind the clock back. The dog that got cooked inside the thing.
We didn't even talk about. So he goes and he gets mail for his ex. We've heard about his ex who's supposed to check the pills.
We mentioned the scene, but we just didn't talk about a lot of this.
Yeah, so it's a genetic cloning facility. And the thing that weirded me, it wasn't that they were cloning pets. If you're in a world where cloning is a part of the culture, that makes sense to me. The fact that like there's a bunch of twins working there, it's like, wait, are we cool with cloning people in this world?
I get the vibe, no, but
and then we just hire twins to work this facility.
Honestly, if cloning is that mainstream, maybe people like chilled out and they do clone people now.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd be interested to find out because I thought when we met Lady True that this was like her secret, like, hey, I can clone people. But like, if you can just go to a place that the whole staff has been cloned.
I get the by the way, worth mentioning, people do clone their pets, and there was a whole show on I think Animal Planet or one of the subsidiaries where it was like I clone my dead pet or something like that.
Gross.
Yeah, it was not my favorite.
Yeah.
I love my pet, but I'm not going to do that. It's
Yeah.
a bunch of hair and go to this place and impregnate a dog, and the thing comes out.
I am going to shave its body and keep all the hair.
Yeah. Also, the puppy was a little small, but you could have.
Somebody wanted it.
I would have adopted it. It was adorable.
Yeah,
it looks a little bit smaller. Was what got him like.
What's more traumatizing, the dog getting whatever, which we don't know what happened to the dog, except that we do. We just, we do. For me, I think Fetus Lake was a little bit more traumatizing.
I think I gasped more at the puppy because it was so like. No, both scenes were pretty
It was pretty rough.
Both are very callous. There's
Yes.
there's no emotion attached to either of them.
And then we find out that the pills are these things called nostalgia that I guess are pilled memory. That one also felt like a little bit of a stretch.
So the only connection I can throw out
Yeah.
is that nostalgia was a perfume from the comic book.
Yes.
That I think it started to get recalled because of the psychosis that they talk about in this.
Nostalgia, and it's from Veight's company.
And because of the stressful times of like nuclear annihilation that was imminent,
Yeah.
nostalgia was supposed to make you feel and remember what it felt like when things were great,
Yeah.
like for America. So I guess
So maybe it just evolved into more specifically
the memories of a person.
Interesting.
And I like the idea of it was for someone who's 105. It's like, yeah, my pills keep me centered, is what he says.
Yeah.
And they're literally what we get from the ad for the next episode is that,
which I'm very excited for.
oh yeah, is that it's literally his memories that he's able to relive over and over again, so he can remember who he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's intense. So we.
And we're gonna meet. I'll talk about that more. Remind me, because we're gonna meet in his prime. Will
as a cop. Yeah.
I think that's important.
Oh yeah, I'm very excited for that. But we also, we get that scene with the ex-wife, but then winding back, we get to the reveal. He watches the video and he goes to the police station and he gets Angela arrested.
Yeah,
gets her to fully confess because he knew.
Yeah.
He knew an extent of that she was aware and covering things up.
He says earlier in the episode that because the lady he's talking to says he should call a friend to pick him up, and he says he doesn't have friends, but like Angela's his friend. Mm-hmm. She doesn't behave much like a friend. Like the one moment where she gets a chance to be like, "Hey, are you okay?" Mm-hmm. When she's trying to pressure him into the pills.
Hey man, it's a rough go when you're covering up a major crime scene that can go for cop killing,
and it might be your grandfather that did it. Oopsie poops. And so, because he knows the cactus is being bugged, and I thought the framing of that scene was very good because the cactus is very much in frame, and it's tough too because she really, and this is some great acting by Regina King, where like she's really like putting her trust in Looking Glass at the worst possible time.
Yeah, and then she downs all the nostalgia.
Yeah,
like 40 pills.
Yeah. It's going to be a tough go for next episode.
The end of the episode, though, and we will talk about Veight's scene.
I was going to say we haven't talked about Veight's scene.
At least the end for Looking Glass that we see is him ditching the alert system, the new overnight that he got. He's paid so much money for one-day shipping. That's such a bummer.
Well, he picks it back up. I'm going to assume that he was going to return it.
You were like,
get your money back.
Yeah, and then the 7th Cavalry shows up
with so many shotguns.
Because of course they do. I would imagine that Looking Glass has a gun at home, but also he seems like very much a rule follower, so possibly cops do not. No, Angela keeps guns at her house.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I would really like a really kick-ass scene where he takes out the 7th Cavalry people, but it's Watchmen, so either he's probably going to get kidnapped or he's going to die.
Or he's going to get his leg blown off or something. But
yeah,
very important to talk about the smartest man in the world and his gambit. Yes, he gets
which is actually really like most of the show so far. It looks like he's just goofing around, but it's like actually props to him because this is an insane plan.
Yeah, we don't actually see fully that all of the scenes we've seen so far.
Yeah,
cannot be in chronological order. They span back, and we're now catching up to present day or whatever that means, because it's moving it's moving too fast for.
Although he does have a lot of time on his hands.
He does, but not that much. Like he wrote a whole play and then they performed it. Like I mean,
oh yeah, true.
There's like enough time that we're not seeing it, since the storyline of this show has basically been about a week at most, maybe a little longer. But his stuff is happening on like a slightly different timeline. Yeah,
because he writes a play, then he gets bored, then he starts launching people through the biosphere or whatever.
And then he fully murders like all of those people.
Yeah, on top of the people, a large contingent of people that he launched out into space.
Yeah, and,
literally.
Yeah, he goes out there and he makes a big old "Save Me" sign, which I'm guessing. I just want to put it out there for the fans of Watchmen. It feels very Black Freighter-esque now, with the pirate storyline of the man stuck on the island. That character does not make a sign like that, the SOS type "Save Me" sign. But you mentioned this is proof that he is the smartest man in the world. He's very capable.
Yeah, he's keeping track of it, because before he's just doing that, I'm like, well, good luck for that meeting anybody. And then a satellite comes by and it's like, oh my god.
Yeah,
this guy. But I like, again, going back to just his egomania, him putting the symbol that's most because he appropriated a lot of Egyptian iconography for his bit, and he has it on his stupid suit,
and all the like the details of like the hair that he engraved on the helmet and stuff. Not because it's great, and also the costume department did an amazing job. Also, if you look at his boots, they're like these like thick honking metal boots, and also it's like the feather. Oh no, the flower that is pinned.
Yes, yeah, and I don't know if maybe that was the gate, because I like that it comes back and it's frozen when he comes back.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he makes a "Save Me" sign.
He comes back and the game warden's there.
Yeah, and I could not tell with the mask. Is the game? I suspected, but is the game warden one of the male clones?
I get the vibe it is. He looked somewhat different
because he does have the mustache and then the mask. And by the way, actually, it's subtle, but I like the game warden's costume.
Very Lone Ranger.
Yeah, it was cool. And also, I find it really great that I was a big proponent that he was on Mars. Some people suggested with a transition that we had last week, because it transitions from him to a shot of the moon, that maybe he's on the moon, and neither of those are right.
Whoa, a little bit.
I mean, he's on a moon.
Actually, let's call it half for both, because he's on a moon and he's not on Earth.
Yeah.
At all.
So it looks like he's on a moon of Jupiter.
I'd say Europa is the ice planet, and it looks like an ice planet, but also, let me make sure that it's the one I'm thinking of, just to make sure. Frozen moons of Jupiter. But yes, now he's going to be punished by the games warden, ain't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And we get a comment in the chat, which again you can join and be a part of at patreon.com/onlystupidanswers. Was the planet Mars in the back? I think Vite is on the moon. I believe that planet didn't look like Mars to me. I think it looked like a moon of Jupiter. Mm-hmm. Did the planet look like Jupiter to you?
Yeah, it's Jupiter. Yeah, it has the big red spot, and it has the clouds around it.
Yeah.
So, and also it's a good kind of spin. Like, let's come. We're talking to Mars right now.
Let's get him from even farther away.
Yeah, which I'm kind of, when it looked back, it was like, oh, it's a full camouflage. Like even if you pointed the camera at Europa, because that's the frozen moon that is most famous, and also that's where we want to send probes to go underneath the ice, because it is believed, I believe, proven that there's an ocean underneath.
How do we get him there? Oh, and it's worth pointing out, when it comes to the question of how we got him there, that the game warden says to Vite taunts the clones that their god is gone. The game warden said, yes, he's gone, so now you're going to be punished even more. But he specifically refers to God as a he, which complicates things, because the person the show is most associated with cloning is Lady True. But he implies Dr. Manhattan, so maybe there's an alliance between Dr. Manhattan and Lady True.
I get which that would be very cool. My theory is that Dr. Manhattan went off and created life on Europa, and he hid it because he can do that. And also, not that being said, True can do everything that we've seen so far besides space travel, I guess. But I think they could figure that out. My guess is that this is Dr. Manhattan's life that he created himself. It's like a little utopia. It's the babies are born out of the lake. He doesn't really have to care about them at all.
Which is perfect for him.
Yeah, he doesn't want to. He just wants to observe them grow on their own. Yeah. And all of the technology there it feels very Dr. Manhattan-esque. Possibly Vite made that play. That's basically right when he arrived in this paradise, this utopia, because that's how he viewed it at first, and now it looks more like a prison. And he put on that play as a way to like a thumbs up to Dr. Manhattan for giving him this opportunity to not only travel the stars,
Yeah.
but also he gets to be no more earthly problems.
Yeah.
You just stay here. And yeah, it's hell, man. It sucks.
But you deserve it. So
Yeah, 100%.
screw off.
And also, but if it was Lady True to build off that,
Yeah.
it's a good way to get him off the board.
I also like there's another instance in this episode. Panda and Red Scare are talking about American Hero Story. And he's like, yeah, Dr. Manhattan and Hooded Justice hung out. And Red Scare's like, no, that can't be true because of when Dr. Manhattan showed up, And Panda's like, oh, time travel. And it's like, and we get another character being like, Dr. Manhattan can't do that. And it's like, you guys got to cut it out, man. Because I don't know if maybe it's the show like cluing us into on his abilities, but what it feels more like is like, hey, man,
I think it's a good way to teach.
Don't question what Dr. Manhattan can or can't do.
Because people should read Watchmen to watch the show. But it also feels like a good way to help the people who have not. Being like, yeah, Dr. Manhattan is basically like a superhero Jesus. Like it's like he basically does everything. He's more than Superman. I would assume he'd whoop on Superman. Basically,
yeah, because I
guess read Doomsday Clock to figure out
whenever the final issue comes out,
December 18th, TBD, whenever that is. Yeah, Vight's gonna be punished in some way, and I'm gonna guess he is gonna make it out somehow.
Yeah, or characters are gonna confront him somehow or something.
Yeah, the game's warden is not messing around.
Maybe Lady True's trying to bring him back. Maybe that's what the clock is for. Whatever.
Possibly. I am not feeling great for Veidt, but also he screw him. He sucks.
Yeah,
I really hope Looking Glass makes it out of here because we mentioned in the last review that we were kind of nervous, like, oh, maybe he was 7th Cavalry before, but now he's not. He's like, no, he clearly isn't.
Nope.
And the only thing that maybe he is somewhat in line with them now, I'm using this loosely, is that they both don't believe in the squid anymore.
Yeah.
And he has visual proof that it is not
Which
real.
that's got to be released by the end of the show, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's bad. You put it on a compact disc. Yeah, of course someone's gonna find it. Like, yeah, that's really easy to get, man. But hey, I think we covered everything.
Yeah.
The big takeaway is I think that possibly his exposure to a psychic attack could have led to him being more perceptive to people lying because he's saying he's noticing like pupil dilation and all these other things.
Yeah.
But it could be something innately inside of his head that he's just kind of gauging.
I think so, but it's like Silverboy in the last episode. That's my favorite element.
Slippery eel.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite elements of Watchmen that the show has picked up the baton from. Is these just slightly heightened stuff. It's not like Dr. Manhattan's the only one with crazy powers, but everything else is just slightly out of our realm. And I think it's really cool and it's really effective and it adds a really interesting flavor to that comic, but also to this world and this show. And on the one hand, I'm glad that it's a self-contained 9 episodes. But it's such a cool take on the superhero. We just have so many superhero properties right now, but nothing that feels like this. Big fan.
If you want your realistic superhero stories, like you got your Joker, but this feels like a superhero world that's fully being realized as something that runs parallel to our own.
Because it is grounded, but it's also super weird, and I like that the dichotomy there and the balancing act that you don't realize how complicated that would be until you say it out loud. It's like, yeah, how do you make a show that's so grounded, but also like you got crazy Silver Surfer squirting down into the sewer. You know what I mean? Like cool stuff. So what would you rate this episode?
Honestly, this is my favorite so far.
Really?
Yeah. It's just, you got the squid and you got Looking Glass. And of course, Tim Blake Nelson gave an amazing performance. And just exploring just seeing someone's whole world fall apart. Of course, you get someone like Tim Blake Nelson to give that performance. And the Veidt stuff was super intriguing as well. And what's next with Angela, like reliving Will's memories from the nostalgia, so cool.
And I think we're seeing young Will in his prime, which leads me back to I think that the Will that killed Judd is a clone of Will, because now we're getting a young Will,
and we're getting the memory of him meeting with Judd when he killed him. But what would you give it?
I would give this a B+. So I would give it like an 8.5 to 9. You know, somewhere in that range, so like an 8.8 or whatever.
Yeah,
it's not because again, some of the reveal stuff felt a little, and some of the stuff felt a little heavy-handed, but still just a really, really great show. Like I said, I mean, who knows how I'll feel after episode 9? Maybe I'll be like, no, it's perfect, leave it alone. But it's like I like this world, and I like what it adds to our superhero media.
I hope Looking Glass gets to live a happy life in some way,
I mean,
whatever that means for him.
Yeah.
Just not the baked beans by himself in the cold.
But it is Watchmen, so I'm not going to hold my breath.
Yeah, we thought Lori got out of it. Now we see her now, and she's
not great.
not great at all. I haven't seen Petey in a second, probably because he got slipped down into
He's still stuck in the sewer. He's like, how do I get
I mean, if you're so there was another pipe right underneath it, just slightly too small that he got jammed into. Hey man, that's super slippery. Let me, and it's right where his legs went in first, but so did his hands, so he can't get to anything. He's gonna starve to death down there.
That's a nightmare.
Do you think Angela just went down just to go take a peek? Maybe she.
You know, when we talked to Roxy about it, because we talked to Roxy about it on Super TV Showdown, again, patreon.com/onlystupid-answers. She's like, I would have looked down there. It's like, no, what? Like in a horror movie?
I mean, you chased after him. Go look down there.
Yeah, get a flashlight.
Superhero cop, you know? Go take a look. I love this show, man. Can't wait to watch more. Check out more of our reviews at youtube.com/onlystupid-answers. You're probably watching it here right now. Please subscribe. We'd appreciate it.
Yes, please.
We have a review coming out soon for Frozen 2, as well as A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, and also Titans. That's Fridays. We're going to be doing Harley Quinn very soon.
Yeah, stay tuned for that.
Don't miss out. I'm at Sam Basher.
I'm at DJ Talks Trash.
At Only Stupid Answers.
Yank out the vowels from stupid.
Ooh, that little back and forth is always fun to do. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye. So Danny M says maybe Last True has better portals to travel to other planets. Maybe.
Yeah, why not? Was the planet Mars? Okay, you asked that question. Yeah. The dang Senator Keene, very good-looking man. I could see him playing like a superhero or something.
Yeah.
In something. He looks a lot like William from Arrow.
We didn't mention. Yes, we didn't mention that apparently cigarettes are an illegal substance.
That's pretty cool. I mean, hey, they got like electrical cars. There's some stuff that's better, except for the lying about squids that are raining from the sky. Oh, wait. I can't wait until next week because you'll get another episode. Fuck, I forgot about that. It's every 3 episodes. So it's 1 through 3, 4 through 6, 7 through 9.
Podcast. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.